Okay, my name is Pedro. My real name is Sizzle. I was born in 1967 at Beraguana Hospital. As far as I can remember, at the age of 2, we left South Africa. My mother took me to go and live with my father, who is originally from Maputo. Those days it was called Lorenzo Marx. Went to live there. So since my father was a welder, he was mostly working on sites and away from home. There were times when my mother would go with him. I lived with my grandmother for a long time. And then at a certain age, living with my grandmother, since she's Mozambican, she taught me a language. For a long time I forgot who my mother was. I thought my grandmother was my mother. Then when my mother came back, I called her by name. Her name is Marta. By that time I'd forgotten how to speak English and Afrikaans. I only spoke Portuguese, which is my grandmother's mother tongue. So after some time, my mother and my dad came back, started living together again as a family. I used to call my mother by a name. But one day she reprimanded me and she told me, I'm not Marta, I'm your mother. Then I got used to the idea that this was my mother. Okay, started school in Maputo. In those days, the Portuguese were in charge of Mozambique. From primary school, I remember we had some white teachers there, Catholic teachers. But there was always this talk amongst people about this war that was raging in the bushes. Being a child, I had no idea what was actually going on. I would just hear there's a war going on, and civil war and all those things, but that didn't bother us much. Life was good, we had everything. My father was a hard worker, he did his best. And then one day, I believe it was in 1975, the government was toppled. The Frelimo rebels came into the city. They came into the area where we were living, and the fightings were raging day and night. We couldn't sleep on the bed, as we lived in a shack, not a shack, but a corrugated iron house. So as the shooting continued, as the shooting would carry on, we were not allowed to sleep on the beds. We would sleep on the floor every night. I can't remember how long that lasted, but it was a terrifying time, because you could hear shooting, the sounds that you hear when there's a war raging around you. Then, at that age, I believe I was maybe like 6 or 7, I had a friend called Manelito. Me and Manelito decided to, as we were playing outside, we decided to take a walk to the main road. As we got there to the main road, the guys of our area, they had erected a barrier. As we got there, the men of our vicinity were there with petrol bombs and machetes and axes and all that. We stood there watching them. My father was among them. And an army tank came by, Portuguese army tank. It came there to the barrier, it stopped. Portuguese soldiers got out and they told those guys to remove the barrier, but those guys said no, they can't. So those guys got back, the soldiers got back into the tank and they left. That same night, opposite the road, there was a jewelry shop and some shops down the road. We could see, as we were standing there in the corner, we could see these people breaking into the jewelry shop and removing the jewelry and what. Because there was chaos all over the place there. It was fighting and places were burning, cars were burning, people screaming and what. And at night, the gunfires would constantly, you would hear firing, machine guns and what. So me and Maledito, we like to go to the main road and go and see what's happening. And on this day, as we went to the main road, we saw a few cars that were burning. And there were bodies inside the car, there was bodies outside, but of young children. These were white people that were trying to leave Mozambique to come to South Africa. And this mob stopped them and they took them out of the cars and they chopped them. Okay, we left there, we went back home. We always used to get into trouble for playing at the main road. And then it was announced on the radio by the rebels, they took over the radio station, that if there's a shop anywhere near you, the community has to break into the shop and take whatever food they can take, because there's going to be a time where there will be no food, shops will not be open. So you have to make provision by breaking into the white man's shop and taking whatever you can to survive. At home we had a guy working for my grandmother. My grandmother told him where to go with the other men and break into the shop and whatever, take food, rice and whatever they could get. This guy was not he was not educated. A simple guy, hardworking. He left with the mob. About an hour after that, he came back with those old scales that they used way back. He came with this thing on his shoulder. My grandmother was so infuriated with him because he was supposed to bring food. He brings a scale. And she asked him in Portuguese, what are we going to do with this thing? Because we need food. And then after that, there was a plane circling our area, and the radio was constantly telling the community what to do, what's next, and what. So this day we decided to go and stand on the main road again and see what's happening. And that's my first time that I saw a Frelimo soldier. First time I saw an AK-47 as these guys were marching up to town, because the white people had moved out. They were all gathering in town, in the city, and they were fighting up there because you could hear the shooting and all that. And one of these soldiers, as they were marching he came to us and he asked us where can he buy something to drink. You know, like this homemade beer and what. So we took him to some house there. We knew where they were selling liquor. A man got so drunk, I had to carry this AK for him. And after some time, they came looking for him. They found him. They took him I don't know where did they take him, but they took him with the other soldiers. Then life took a change, because at school we were taught about communism, and a lot of things changed. When the shops had nothing to sell, life was becoming serious there and difficult. A lot of men left the country. They ran to South Africa, some to Rhodesia. The white people got on the planes and went back to Portugal. Life carried on. After some time, there was no bread. We used to eat sweet potatoes in the morning with tea for bread. And mostly fish, as that place is at the coast. So life became unbearable for a lot of people. The children were getting sick because of a lack of vitamins and proteins. And at home things also changed because my old man, he started drinking more and started sleeping out, and things took just a different turn. We carried on with life, and I think my mother couldn't take it anymore. Since he didn't come back home, he didn't bring money or whatever. And one day she woke us up in the morning, got us dressed, me and my 2 sisters, and we took the bus to his workplace. When we got there, she told him, "Here's your children," and she left. She left us with him. He called a friend of his. They put us into the car and he took us to his girlfriend's house. We stayed there, I don't know for how long. And then one day my mother came back and fetched us. And we left Mozambique, came back to South Africa. Now, since my 2 sisters were born in Mozambique, they had no passports to come to South Africa. My mother had to smuggle them through Swaziland. But luckily, I had an uncle, Max Pimentel, who was a MK soldier. She contacted him, he helped her to smuggle my 2 sisters through Swaziland, and then she brought me to South Africa, left me with my grandfather and my grandmother, went back to Swaziland and got my 2 sisters, and she brought them. Now we're in South Africa now, I don't understand the language, I have to start school. Started school in those days. It was standard 1 grade, standard 1. Started school from standard 1 in El Dorado Park at E.W. Hobbs. If I remember correctly, I think I failed the first year. Luckily for me, there was a Portuguese teacher at E.W. Hobbs, Mr. Mohammed. He would sometimes come and translate for me in class. And my English teacher, Mrs. Budram, she also did her best for me to understand education and what she was teaching. My mother also bought some books for me. I started to learn to read English, and things improved. I learned Afrikaans in the streets with my friends, my uncle, and we carried on, loved like that. My mother got a job as a nurse. She started working for us. Now, my grandfather was not an easy man. He really didn't want me around him. So I was constantly told to go to my mother's place, because my mother had found a room for herself. So I would go back and forth to my grandmother's house, my mother's house, grandmother's house, my mother's house. And so it went until my grandfather passed away. So I went to live with my granny, because now she needed someone to send to the shops and to help her in the garden and what. So I went to live with her. Living with my grandmother, my mother's baby brother, my uncle, he was at the boarding school at that time. So they decided to send me also to the boarding school. Okay, my mother made the necessary plans. Then 1 year, my things were packed and we left for the boarding school in Elwell North, St. Joseph's. Well, as you know, boarding school for boys, there's always fights and bullies and all that. But my first year with my uncle wasn't that good because my uncle is not a fighting type. He did his best to look after me, and so it carried on. I went back for the second year. Now I was a little bit used to the life at the boarding school, and I decided, no man, this bullying needs to stop now. So we formed a little gang of youngsters and we started fighting back, because at the boarding school the older guys would make sure that after 5, if you didn't wash, they would give you lashes for it. If you didn't do your chores, they would give you lashes for it. So we started fighting against that. My chores was to clean the kitchen tables, the dining room tables where we used to eat. One night we got into a big fight with one of the big guys who was in charge of us doing our chores. So the bullying stopped there. We carried on. I think my last year was in 1979. It was my last year at the boarding school. Came back to Joburg, carried on with school, Kliptown High, and you know, being a teenager, you have friends, you do whatever they do, life carried on. Now I had this friend, he was more like a brother. We grew up together. He joined the gang, and then afterwards he recruited me. So I also joined this group, and this was around early 80s, I think. If my mind serves me right, in the early 80s. Now in El Dorado Park, in those days, there was a gang in every extension. This place has got something like 10 extensions. So in every extension there was a gang. If you moved from your place to a different extension, you had to have your backup, and you had to make sure that the road you're going to take is clear and you're going to be safe, because every young man in those days walked around with a knife or a panga, and there was constantly gang fights in the open fields, on the grounds, at the schools. And so we learned to protect ourselves and carried on, got involved into Dacha, started smoking weed, you know, the things that young men do. Those days it was mostly mandrakes and Dacha. Not like these days. I don't know what these young men smoke these days. But it must be something terrible, because the things they do. Okay, got involved with girlfriends and serious stuff, like, you know, somebody would steal a car and park it somewhere, we would go and steal it further. Gang fights all over the place. Some guys were killed. By God's grace, we survived. I can't remember the year, but I remember my first job. My uncle got me into this job because I decided I'm tired of going to school. I wasn't doing that good in school anyway. By that time, apartheid was busy crumbling. The teachers at Kliptown High, we had soldiers for teachers, 2 white soldiers. One was a maths teacher, the other one, I can't remember what he was teaching. Soweto was almost like a war zone in Soweto. Riots all over the place. So I started working with my uncle. Those days I would receive, my first wages was 42 rand a week. And I could do a lot with that money. Buy my weekly, buy my cigarettes, get drunk and give my grandmother money. That's how much money still had value in those days. I mean, 42 rand, you could do all those things with 42 rand. Now, on my side of the family, I've got, most of them come from Kliptown, from my mother's side. Those people, the Paulsons, they were really terrible people. Those were the kind of men that would rather kill you than greet you. I'm speaking about people called Zakes, Hans, Drieoor, Boy Masaka. So we always used to hear about these men, and there was always talk about these guys, the things they used to do, because these guys were feared in Kliptown. So as we grew up, we tried to be like these guys. Tried to imitate these men, you see. That, to me, those were role models, you see. I did my best to be like my uncle, my mother's brother. Because I thought that was how a man should be. For you solve everything by violence or with violence. And started working for, still living with my granny. And these days, and that's when I started drinking a lot. Get drunk every weekend. Friends were dying around me. If your enemies catch you, yeah, they kill you with pangas and knives. It's not like today you pass, you drive by and shoot. Nothing like that. You had to face somebody to kill somebody. That's how it was in those days. I used to drink with my uncles and cousins and friends, and we became a sort of a gang, you see, in Eldos Extension 4. And we terrorized that poor community, you'll never believe it. So one night as we were sitting and drinking, one of my uncles got killed outside. We were sitting in the flat, he got killed outside. Somebody came and they called us to say, hey, you guys are sitting and drinking, so-and-so has just got stabbed outside. We went out and we saw the man lying on the ground, lost his life. And then somebody told us who did it, and we went to that flat. Try and figure out what happened, who did what. And those people locked themselves in the flat. We broke down the door, the burglar door. We went in and we paid revenge. And then somebody called the cops as we were still busy in the house. The owner of that flat, I believe this lady had just bought a new car. One of the guys set the car on fire outside. It was all chaos, man, and we busy fighting for this uncle that they killed, you see. We playing revenge, me and his brothers, my uncle. And the cops pulled up and we ran out. The cops looked for us, they couldn't find us, so we split up. found different places to sleep. And from there, we are on the run now. Cops are looking for us all over the place. I tried hiding, different places, bush copies, club town, wherever I could sleep. But I was getting tired, I was growing tired of this life of running from the cops, you see. One night I decided to go home to go and fetch some clean clothes. And that night I got arrested. And then the cops had surrounded the house, knocked. And then when we opened, they came in, they arrested me. They parked the cars at a distance, so when we walked to the cars, got to the cars, I found two of my uncles also, they've been arrested that same night. They took us to Kliptown police station, but they couldn't keep us there since Kliptown police station was being renovated at that time, you see. So they decided to take us to Lenasia police station. They took us to Lenasia. We slept there for the weekend. On Monday, we were sent to court. Okay, on Monday, we're going to court. Remember now, we're still living in the old system, the apartheid system. They took us to Westgate Court. Court, I believe it was Court 8. We went to Court 8 for maybe it's like 4 weeks. 3-4 times we went to Court 8. And one day we came there, suddenly they gave us papers. Now I think that was the norm in those days, that if they're going to send your case to a high court, you have to sign first. And then they give you your charge sheet, tell you everything that you're charged with, and you sign for it. Then you give you court papers for you to go to high court. So our next court appearance was in the high court. So we went to the high court, and those days the high court was scary because, as you know, the white government used to hang people. And I really don't remember really how I felt, but it was some kind of an uneasy feeling. So, okay, we went to court this first day. We were reminded to Sun City. Sun City just opened in those days, you see. Sun City was still new. We learned prison from the old guys, like my uncle and them, you see. They taught us how things work because they are used to, they were used to the old prison, which is called number 4 in Hillbrow. So when we came to Sun City, they taught us the ropes and everything. We were there in B section, stayed in B section. Now, when we were arrested, we were something like six or 5 of us. Everybody else that was with me in this case got bail. Me being the youngest one, I also got bail, but my mother decided not to bail me out because she believed I was safe where I was, and for me to learn the lesson that I need to feel, I need to learn. So she decided not to bail me out, because now recently she told me that her old boss that she used to work for gave her the money, and she said, no, it's fine where he is, just leave him where he is, you see. Now I'm locked up now, 19 years. Everybody else got bail. I have to take care of myself. As you can see, I'm a short man. And being 19 and short, you look like a child. Now we're back to bullying again. So I'm thinking, yeah, I'm not going to be somebody's wife. I'm not going to wash somebody's clothes. I'm going to take care of myself. And the best way to do it is to use violence, because I was used to violence. So violence is my best option. Now in those days when you go to court, your family comes to court, they give you food, buy chicken for you, give you money, cigarettes and what. And then when court is adjourned, you brought back to Sun City in those yellow vans. Now what the guys used to do is, on our way back from court in the van, we used to rob each other in the van. And there's nothing you can do because you're locked up with a bunch of crooks, big guys, and you get robbed. They take your stuff, your money, whatever, you see. So when my uncle and when I was with my group, we used to do that. Now I'm alone now. I'm thinking for myself, well, I have to do something like that or otherwise I am going to get robbed. So we got into this van. This is my first day by myself now. If you're wondering if I was scared, yes, I was scared. But I just told myself, no man, I have to get through this. So I had this, I can't remember who gave me a leather belt, a thick leather belt. I think I took it from somebody, man. This belt had a nice big buckle, so it's broad as my hand. Looks like those old cowboy belts. So I had this belt with me and my bag and my stuff. We got into the van and they used to pack that van to bring us from Westgate to Sun City or from High Court to Sun City. Now, as soon as the van leaves the court, the robbery starts in the van while you're driving through town, you see. So I took this belt, I put it around my hand like a knuckle duster. As soon as the van left the premises, I jumped up and I started beating this guy sitting next to me and making threats there, making a noise there, and jumping to someone else and beating him and searching guys. And everybody became quiet and calm, and I thought, yeah, this is my chance. Searched everybody, searched the whole van.